welcome back to the Feel Your Feelings podcast. I'm your host, Victoria Makanjuola, and today I am joined by Danielle Germain. Hey,
Hi!
Danielle.
Hey, sis!
So
Hey!
she's currently based in South Carolina. She's originally from New York, and we have a lot of things in common. We actually go way back to 2020 pandemic core,
Mhm.
and we're both passionate about communications, social justice, and sports. And I think we really connected over our shared interest in broadcast journalism. I was an intern for CBS at the time, and I think I'd reached out to Danielle while I was job searching a little
Yep.
bit, and I
Mhm.
reached out to her about an opportunity, and she got back to me. And I think what stood out to me is that how she kept it real of like, sis, this is the real behind it.
Mhm.
So I really appreciate her. And I the topic that I kind of want to get into is kind of multi-leveled, but before
Mhm.
we get into that, I'm going to ask you, how are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm really excited to be on your podcast, and I'm really just excited to catch up with you and have this conversation and kind of just let the audience see our friendship. I'm excited.
For sure, for sure. This has been a long time coming, by the way.
Yes,
Did
it
I tell you
has.
since like January or something? Like I've been seeing you put time on my calendar. It was like January. Wait, can we move it back? Can we move it back? I was
We
like,
sure were.
it's August, y'all. It's August, y'all. But
It's been
we're
a long time
here.
coming. I'm
We
so
made
happy. I'm
yeah,
so happy.
me too. Me too. We made it happen. And I'm super excited. So I'm curious to know like what are you doing right now? Because when I first met you, I think you were in the nonprofit field, I think with the
Mhm.
pay our interns or something. I
Yes,
think
that's where I
that's the first work.
was. Wow, yes, that seems like a lifetime ago. I definitely was. I've been working in the communication specialist space for the last 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I was working more in like the DEI politics space, working with Angela Rye and her team. I was
Right.
doing that for
Yeah.
about 2 years before transitioning into like multifaceted comms. And now I'm actually really focused on freelancing. I've been doing a lot of writing. Currently a politics and sports reporter for Def Pen Media Group,
Okay.
which is also based out of New York. So definitely check it out if you haven't.
For sure.
So I've been writing, freelancing a bit. I actually just wrapped up an interview with former LSU player Alexis Morris,
Okay.
one of the girls from the NCAA national championship games. So I got to interview her. And it was awesome. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm writing. I'm working on my small business. I'm working on my career coaching business, which I absolutely love. So yeah, it's kind of what I'm doing right now.
I love that. And I'm definitely gonna shout out your career coaching business towards the end of this episode because you're doing great things with that as well, helping other young people, other young black women
Hmm.
navigate their careers and job hunting. So check that out for sure. So what are
Period.
some of your passions at the moment? I know you just mentioned like sports and your organization, but like what are you really passionate about?
Absolutely. Right now, I'm definitely focused on my career coaching business. Like I said, I'm really looking to just give back to communities and spaces that look like me and where I've come from. I
Yeah.
really want to see entry level professionals get jobs, especially in media. Like I want to see Black women in media so bad right now. It's really
Yeah.
needed. Our stories need to be told. The stories of marginalized communities need to be told. So I'm really just focusing on getting my voice back out there and helping other people kind of find their niches and spaces that they want to be in and get them in those rooms and in those conversations. So yeah, that's a little bit of what I'm working on, and then hopefully, looking into 2024, I'm really looking to get back into the election media space. I really am looking forward to the 2024 presidential election,
Yeah.
and kind of interviewing candidates and getting into those debate rooms and kind of asking those important questions,
Right.
especially for young voters like us. I really want to get back into that space as well. So yeah,
For sure, for sure, and we need us in those spaces. I
absolutely.
think it's a crazy political cycle from what I'm seeing on the news and everything. So
It
having more
is.
young voices and POC voices is really important.
Yeah, I
So
definitely agree.
yeah, and I know you have a podcast or this a podcast. I'm gonna call it a podcast. It's called Black Barbies. Tell me more about Black Barbies. It's from what I saw on YouTube, it's a conversation with Black women based
Mm-hmm.
on life and literature.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's that all about?
Absolutely, yeah. So during the pandemic, me and my amazing homegirls from when I was growing up, my day ones, shout out to y'all.
Shout
Y'all know who
out,
you
shout
are.
out.
We were really just missing each other. We weren't seeing each other during the pandemic. Our families are all over the place, and we were like, how can we find a way to stay connected while also just pouring back into ourselves and finding
Yeah.
moments for self care? So we wanted to start a book club, and we wanted to start reading books about Black authors, by Black authors,
Mm-hmm.
about Black people, about our communities. We wanted to, and any facet genre doesn't matter. We just really wanted to get reading again and have these in conversations with each other. So we started a book club,
Come on,
and
book
we just
club.
started recording our conversations and putting them on the internet and letting people get a feel of who we were and hearing our dialogue. And we really, really enjoyed it. We're kind of taking a little hiatus right now. I would
Yeah.
definitely really love to see us rebranding in 2024. So if you have any book recommendations, comment them on Victoria's page so that we could get back reading.
Yeah. I'm a book nerd for sure. Like I have a few books that are on my like to-dos or to read list, and I also
Okay,
love audiobooks as well.
me too.
I just talked to an author recently for a series that I'm doing on my podcast. His name is Micah.
Mm.
So I'm just trying to support your local authors,
Support your
people that
local
are,
authors,
yeah,
support your local
please.
libraries, support your local bookstores, support small businesses. Period.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I'm ready to dive into the meat of this, which is basically one of the topics I want to talk to you about that you we were talking about. Like, I was even thinking, like, what should I talk to Danielle about? Like, I don't know, like she's so intelligent. Like, I feel like we're kind of
Oh,
both the
likewise.
same person, but in like different body in
Absolutely, I
different
see it.
environments, you feel me?
Yep, yep.
So I really was like, okay, code switching. And then Danielle mentioned navigating career journeys as entry level professionals,
Mhm.
and then ways to stay encouraged and motivated in seasons of transitions. So, okay, let's first talk about code switching.
Yeah.
So, if you're not already aware of what code switching is, the way I define it is not being entirely yourself in the professional space that you work in.
Mhm.
So, if you're working in corporate America, like you having to change the way you talk or change the way that you look, and then I guess after work you pull that wig off.
Mhm.
And then you'll be more comfortable.
Yep.
So how do you define code switching, and have you experienced it in any of your jobs?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like as Black women and just as like any diverse group, I feel like we always feel like we have to hide part of ourselves, right? Especially when we're in the workforce and we're not the majority, right?
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. So when there's a lot of people that don't look like me, I've definitely found like in the past, especially when I was early in my career, um, especially in this like media space. Like there's so many opportunities where I didn't see enough people that looked like me in the room, and I felt like I had to change what my hair looked like. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
comb with my natural curls. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
um, talk how I would talk to maybe you or another peer or a mentor. I just felt uncomfortable. And I would say the first time I realized that I didn't have to code switch anymore
Mm-hmm.
was when I was working at PBS. I was working on a show at Washington Week.
Mm-hmm.
I was working on
Yeah.
a show at PBS called Washington Week.
Right.
And the commentator, her name was Yamisha Sindor.
Right, right.
Wonderful, amazing woman, Haitian woman. I'm Haitian, I'm Caribbean American. I absolutely was in awe of the fact that I'd be working with somebody that had a similar background to myself. And Victoria, when I tell you, every Friday night when we recorded the show, Yamish would record her show with her natural puff, just like mine, and she would come on the show and she would talk eloquently and she would talk with her guests in her beautiful outfits, sometimes in her different prints, whatever she wore, whatever she was comfortable with, and her puff. I saw that and I was like, I can be in this space and I can be
Yeah.
myself in this space. And other people that look like me can be in this space. And we can come here and we don't have to be unapologetically different from anything. We can just be ourselves. And that was the first time I really saw that. And it made me realize how important it was. And I keep saying this, but it's very, very important. And I want to harp on it, the importance of seeing Black women in media. I hadn't before that time. I had worked with other women of color in politics, in news spaces, but I had not yet had the opportunity to work in a space where someone that was going to be on TV, front facing anchoring every single day had hairstyles that looked like mine.
Right.
And she normalized it. I started coming
Mhm.
to work with my afro puff, my braids. I was coming in with my prints. I was doing whatever I wanted. I had my Jamaican keychain. Like I felt more than accepted.
Yeah.
Finally, I finally felt like I had a place, and I made sure that wherever I go next, wherever company culture I transition into next, I feel accepted the way that I did in that organization.
That's fantastic. Kudos to you, honestly, that you had that awareness, that you were
Mhm,
inspired by someone, first of all, that looked like you and that showed you
mhm,
the way of like how they're doing it, and you decided to do it as well. I really didn't start to embrace my natural hair professionally
mhm.
until recently, and I recently did a job interview, and the lady who interviewed me, she was a natural as well,
Yeah.
and that was super inspiring to me. And I just recently, my background is, my dad's Nigerian,
Mhm.
my mom's American, so this is an African crown basically.
It is. Period. Period. Period.
So I just trying to, I've been embracing, that side of myself, and there's nothing wrong with, if you wear braids, you wear wigs,
Mhm.
weaves, whatever, like do what you have to do, because I did have some hair damage, and that was like
Oh
my
yeah.
main reason for using protective styles, was to
Of
protect
course.
my hair. But in
Mhm.
in a professional setting, there's nothing wrong with you wanting to express yourself with your hair,
Yeah.
and we shouldn't
Absolutely.
be ashamed of that. And they passed the Crown Act recently here in Texas,
Yes, they did.
so hair discrimination, it's got to go.
Gone, go, gotta go. And I just want to encourage women watching this, especially Black women. Like, you see us here with our puffs, and ask questions and go
Yeah,
on YouTube and talk to your homegirls, and make yourself feel comfortable. And sometimes when you start to see yourself being comfortable, you actually feel comfortable. And when
yeah.
you see other people around you doing those things, like, I think it's great that we're on this interview and both of
This
our
wasn't
hair.
even planned.
This
Like, this
wasn't
wasn't
even
even
planned. This
planned.
wasn't even
This
planned.
wasn't even planned.
Exactly.
So, okay, so next point is navigating career journeys as entry level professionals. Okay, so I don't really know where to start with this topic, because I consider myself, we're entry level professionals.
Hmm.
But the way I've navigated this, I'm still navigating it, to be honest. So I went to the George Washington University. Danielle went to American University
Hmm.
in DC, and fantastic schools. But after that, I started a full time job during the pandemic, at one of the top three news organizations, right? You got ABC, CBS, NBC. And it was great. I got to network with prominent journalists and producers and people in the field that I watch on TV and that I look up to. So it was a great opportunity for me to get my feet wet and meet new people. However, navigating it was a bit of a challenge for me, because I consider myself a very curious person. And if I maybe don't get the answers that I want the first time around, I can get disheartened or disappointed and be like, "Ah, this isn't really what I thought it was." So
Yeah.
I think I want to give up.
Yep.
So, long story short, I worked with this company for like 9 months after graduation. They gave me a full time job offer, which I'm super grateful for. I met some fantastic journalists. But then that job got terminated in January of 2022. And they did their best to be like, to help us out and be like, hey, like, you can either sign your severance papers or stay on with the company, and we can put you in a new office or new department.
Yep.
And I thought about it. I was like, do I want to stay in a new department? I would have had to move to New York though, because it would have been in person. I would have been like an executive assistant or administrative assistant.
Wow.
And at the time, I wasn't feeling it. Like, I
Yeah.
was too attached. I am attached to where I live now, in Texas with my family. So I don't. I decided at that point to sever and just freelance. So that
Yeah.
journey was a bit difficult, because you come, it's stability, and then you leave stability for instability for a while.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily regret it, because it caused me to kind of find myself. I don't think I would have been this particular Victoria had I stayed, or had that not happened, or had I
Absolutely.
moved to New York.
Hmm.
I could have been a completely different person. So how have you
Absolutely.
navigated your career journey as entry level?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Well, I love everything that you just said was really like spot on, and it honestly very much like mirrors what I've been experiencing. I've been going through a career
Yeah.
transition myself. As I mentioned, I was in the nonprofit space, and I'm transitioning out of that space and back into broadcast media.
Yeah.
Directly, writing in sports and in politics. That's really my niche right now, and it hasn't been easy.
Yeah.
Redoing interviews and talking to new companies and figuring out company culture and where I
Yeah.
fit and figuring out if this role is going to lead to a career success and potential growth. Like all of those things are extremely stressful.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know if this is a spiritual podcast, but I'm a very spiritual
Oh,
person.
like, I'm glad you mentioned that. I
Hmm.
definitely am. I depend on my faith a lot for this podcast. I'm a spiritual person for sure. Um,
I think you have.
Christian
I think you
background.
have to be. I think
And
you have to
yeah,
be. Like even if it's
it's
not
my
rooted
faith.
in
Yeah.
even if it's not rooted in Christianity, which is where
Yeah.
I'm rooted, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, I
Yeah.
just feel like you have to be rooted in something. I feel like you have to be
Yeah.
rooted in something bigger and higher and more powerful than you,
Of,
because
of
we all
course.
need something to believe in. We all need something to put our faith and our trust and our hope in. And honestly, like my faith is the thing that has been helping me navigate the season of transition. Like you
Yeah.
said, going, and especially when you choose to go from stability to instability, that's practicing your faith. That's
Yeah.
sleeping on faith, not sight. So it's very very important to me right now that I stay grounded in the word, and I stay grounded in what God's promises are to us, and making
Totally.
sure that I find that alignment in wherever I go next. I want to make sure that my faith is, I'm doing what I need to do. I'm doing what I feel like my purpose is, and I want to make
Yeah.
sure where I go next, I'm not rushing into that next phase. I
Yes.
want to make sure that I'm planted there, I'm placed there,
Yeah.
like I'm supposed to be.
That's so good. That is so good. My faith guides me for sure, and I
Hmm.
think I try my best to lean towards faith over fear.
Always.
And I think the flesh sometimes is like it's scary, like it's so scary. I'm scared. I don't know what to do next. But
Hmm.
my faith tells me that with God, all things are possible.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, I need. I feel like there's people our age and older that are going through this right now. That's something that they're probably wondering, like, can we talk about like how scary it is though, like to
Yeah.
depend on your faith, like
Oh my
especially when you
gosh.
don't see any tangible
When
results
you don't
in
see
your
tangible
life.
results, and that's where faith starts to shift. That's where faith gets shaky, right? Because
Hmm.
when you don't see the things that you're praying for immediately, you start to think, are my prayers being heard, or am I being protected, watched over, etc.? And I know
Right.
in theory we're supposed to know that we are, but it's a lot harder to say that than and actually put like work behind faith. It's hard to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
And honestly, the thing that I keep in my mind is a very special verse, which is, you only need faith as small as a mustard seed. A mustard seed. It's
Mm,
this small. Even if it's this small. My best friend when I was in college, her name is Akila. Love her. Shout out to Akila. She used to tell me
shout
that
out.
all the time, all the time in college. She would tell me, all you need is faith as small as a mustard seed, and you will see it through. You will be
Yeah.
still, be still. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like to this day, anytime I'm nervous, or anytime I don't know what's going on, or I don't know where to put my next step or whatever, I'm just still.
Yeah.
I'm literally still, because I know that it's being worked out already. It's already being worked out.
Yeah. I mean, look at God already, because I was watching a show last night and I've been watching it for a little while. It's called The Chosen on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Love the show. It's based off of the Bible and the people that lived during that time, obviously
Wow.
Jesus and his disciples. And I'm on the last episode, but he mentioned to someone in the crowd like about having faith, and he mentioned like having faith as small as a mustard seed is all you
Wow.
need. And he healed a man whose leg was like infected and stuff. So I was thinking of that when you said that. I'm like,
That timing is crazy. Look at God. Isn't God like, God is different.
right.
God is different,
Thank
man.
you,
God is
God. Thank you,
different.
God.
Exactly.
That leads perfectly into the last point, which is ways to stay encouraged and motivated in seasons of transition. So I guess how should we go about this? Like, should we talk about how we encourage ourselves, or maybe
Yeah.
how we would encourage other people?
I think it's tied into the same thing. I think we should talk from our own personal
Yeah.
experiences. How did you, Victoria, stay motivated in seasons of Uncertainty.
Hmm. Currently, so I think what you said about being still was super valid. 'Cause I have a tendency to think really fast and maybe be a little bit impulsive on things. And I think being still has been a challenge since the pandemic. I think the pandemic really forced a lot of us to be still, like just
Absolutely.
sit
Just
your
sit
butt
down.
down,
Sit
sit
down.
down, sit
Hmm.
down somewhere. So that's what I've been doing. Like, and I feel guilty sometimes 'cause I'm like, well, I'm here at home, and there's other people like doing this, doing that, walking red carpets, blowing up on TikTok, going viral, making lots of cash, and I'm doing this.
Hmm.
And it's like I have to be still sometimes. And we're like, but like, what are you grateful for though? Like you have a support system, you have tools, you have at your disposal to create a podcast, which is a platform to talk to people who are feeling the same way as you.
Exactly.
Um, you're technically not alone. You have a roof over your head, and you may not have everything you want financially, but you're working towards it and you have everything that you need in order to create more financial abundance and stability in your life, even though you don't have it. So I think for me, I stay encouraged by the small stuff, things that make me happy. And it's something that I'm currently working on. I was just attending a virtual webinar by an organization called First 15 LA, and one of the organizers works at Warner Brothers, and we were talking about the things that brought us joy recently. And I was telling her, I was like, I'm sorry, but I can't really think of the last moment or the last event that really brought me joy. So you're kind of encouraging me to be more intentional about scheduling joy into my week or finding the things that bring me joy. And she's like, yes, yes, absolutely. Because I'm like, I've really been dwelling on a lot of negative things. So small things, whether it's like my favorite song on Spotify and then listening to that, and if just one song, like let me put on Victoria Monet and then just jam out. That brings me joy. So I think breaking it down, because it's easy to get, this is so real. Sorry, this is so real. But it's easy to get caught up in the what we don't have, and the things maybe we don't want. Well, I don't want to be poor, but instead of focusing on the things that we want, well, I want to have a successful podcast. I want to have um, impactful conversations with people. I want to make money, but not at the expense of my mental health. So that's my spiel. It's your turn now, sis.
No, that was really, really strong, Victoria. And I think that um, a lot of what you said I resonate with. And I think that honestly, if nothing else, right now, the thing that's gotten me through this season of transition is my village. It's my fiance, it's my parents, it's my sister, it's my friends, it's those people that it's my parents in law, my in laws,
Yeah.
it's the people that are consistently pouring into me and praying for me every single day. That's what has gotten me through this season of transition. I also think comparison is the thief of joy,
Yeah.
and I think that your season of uncomfortability is when God makes the biggest changes. And I
Right.
think that right now, a lot of us, especially us media professionals, we're in season of transitions, dealing with
Mm,
layoffs,
mm,
dealing with company shortages, dealing with, oh my gosh, think about the writer's strike in LA. Think about all those people. I have an uncle that's affected by, he hasn't been working in weeks, months,
yeah.
because they're fighting for better wages. And like you said, they don't want to make money at the expense of their mental health. They want to have livable wages.
Yeah.
Um, it's all about doing what you're passionate about, even if it takes time to get there. And I
Mm.
think that this Gen Z, I always tell my fiance I'm a mix of millennial and Gen Z.
Yeah,
I feel like
Z-linnials.
I'm
I'm about
yeah.
I'm 26. How old are you?
Oh, okay. So I'm a little younger than you. I'm about to be 25 in
Okay. Okay.
January. So I always feel like the reason why is because I really feel like I channel my parents a lot. I
Yeah.
have that boots to the ground, hustle mentality, get it
Yeah.
done. have a goal list and then have extra goals behind it and make
That's
sure
that
those
old
get
school
done.
mentality
It
for
is that old
sure.
school
It's
mentality.
it's from our parents' generation where you
It sure
had to
is.
work. Yeah, you had to work twice as hard. You had to push yourself more. You had to like grind for real.
Yeah, and that's where I struggle, right? Because I have that mentality. Like I said, I was born in a Caribbean household. I'm very much used to having a hustle, and education is the priority, and making sure that your things get done. But also in that same vein, I'm very much a Gen Zer. I'm like, look, if I'm tired, I'm closing the laptop and going to bed. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. If I want to go to get my nails done, I'm gonna go get my nails done because I deserve
Right.
self care today. So I
Exactly.
always say that I fall right in between the middle. But I don't think that's a bad thing because I
Yeah.
think that it teaches me discipline, but it
Mhm.
also teaches me patience.
Mhm.
And I think that we're so quick to have these expectations of what our life is supposed to be, and we have no
Mhm.
grace for ourselves. And if
Mm.
my faith has taught me anything,
Mhm.
God has so much grace for me, so much
Mhm.
grace for the people around me. Why don't I have any grace for myself? I'm going to
Mhm.
get where I need to go. It just might take me a little bit of time to figure it out and get there. But when I do figure it out, I'm going to be grateful for the journey, right? So
That's
that's what
real.
keeps me motivated.
That's real. That's real. Like God gives us grace, we don't give grace to ourselves. That is
Absolutely.
so real. I go to this youth Bible study on Monday nights at my local church, and I went last night and he was talking about like loving, the youth pastor was talking about loving your neighbor, right? And how our generation, what he's noticed is that our generation is super hyper fixated on them ourselves. Like we are selfish basically. He called us out. He read us for filth. He's like, y'all don't care about anyone but yourself. And I was like, that's so true. It's but we're all in the same boat. We're feeling the same things
We are,
and
and we're
we
not
don't.
doing it. We're not doing it selfishly. I don't think any of us are doing it in a place of selfishness.
Right.
I think we're all just trying
Mhm.
to get to the next place, the next level,
Right.
the next school, the next job, the next whatever.
Exactly.
And a lot of the time, like life is short too. Like
Yeah.
we only get one. We're here and then we go. We transition. And I
Yeah.
think that we spend so much time trying to get to the next, to the next, to the next. One day you're gonna run out, and the next is gonna be over,
Yeah.
and that's it. So,
Like,
what are you doing now to make sure
yeah.
what you actually do is worth the time that you're spending?
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
it. That's it. I think what you just said about grace is that we don't give other people grace because we don't give it to ourselves. Like me comparing myself to someone who is famous or is on a red carpet is like they're not me. That's their journey, you know? And I'm not giving them grace because I'm not giving myself grace. Like, hey,
absolutely.
it's okay. Like you follow this person, but that doesn't make you like less than
It doesn't make you less.
or inferior in any way. You're just on a different life journey and a life path. God doesn't give us things that we can't handle. He gives us things that we can handle. And if you were in that person's shoes, you probably wouldn't be able to handle it. Let's just be
And
let's just be
honestly,
100.
sometimes, and I say again, I say this to my fiance a lot. I say, like, God, like you said, God gives us what we can handle. God's not going to give me $2 million if He knows I'm gonna go blow it on something that I don't
No,
need.
no.
He knows
What would
my
you
heart.
do? What would you do with the first million? What? I would get my nails done. But
I'm going to Dubai.
I'd be tight.
I'm traveling. I'm paying for off my wedding. That's what I'm gonna just swipe the card. I'm
Exactly.
buying a couple
Mhm.
cars. I don't even have
Right.
a license
Me
yet.
too. Me
I'm
too.
going to get a couple cars. And God knows, Danielle, you're not ready for that 2 million. You're not
Exactly.
ready. I
No.
gotta prepare you. I have there's some more steps in your journey. There's a
That's
couple
right.
more. And
That's
then when
right.
you are ready, you're going to be filled. You're going
That's
to be
right.
blessed beyond measure, and it's going to be your story. And you know what, though, Victoria, something I did
Yeah.
want to say, the same way that me and you are idolizing and seeing, because I see it too. I got
Yeah.
friends in all different types of this industry, all over the
Yeah.
media industry, red carpets and going to all-star games and
Mhm.
covering
Mhm.
this and going to debates and talking to
Yeah.
presidents. I've Trust me, and I'm like, why am I not there in my career yet? And it's not that I'm not there yet. It's just that it hasn't happened for me yet. And
Yeah.
but think about what we have done in our careers. Like you said earlier, you've worked at one of the top news organizations in our country. You
Top.
have done some of the most. You're about to. I'm not going to tell all your tea, but you got some real big things coming up for yourself. You got
I
some
do.
real important, wonderful things that you put in motion, that all the steps that you've been taking have led to these moments that are about to come for you. And there's somebody, you might not know them, you might not see them, but there's somebody saying, damn, I wish I was in Victoria's spot. I wish I was doing what Victoria's doing. And they want to be where you're at, the same way where we want to be where the next person's at. So it's all about perspective. That's
For
what I think.
sure. For sure. For sure. You've been I'm crying on the inside. This is real. Like, thank you. So I have a speed round like where I ask all my questions to, or ask some like quick questions to people. So
That
you wanna
sounds
get speed round?
fun. I'm excited. Let's get
Yes.
it.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. What's the last song that you listened to?
Oh,
And you can check your
all
Spotify
right. Let me
if
check.
you
Let
yeah,
me
you can
just
check.
check my phone real quick.
Because
I love
I even had to think like, wait, what was the last?
I love my music, and I listen to like people probably see me and they probably think I'm like a just a little princess listening to
I'm
Taylor
checking
Swift. But
mine too. Just
I am listening to, so one of my favorite rappers is people are gonna probably listen to this and think it's crazy. After I was just talking all this beautiful stuff, they're gonna hear what I listen to and be like,
no shade. No shade.
but my a couple of my favorite rappers, top three probably right now: A Boogie, Lil Baby, and NBA YoungBoy. Those
I
are my
only know one out of three.
those are the three
So
people I'm listening to right now.
okay, okay.
So NBA YoungBoy, that was the last song I listened to. It's a song called Out Nothing, and that's the last song on my listen to list.
Got a little juice in your cup. It was funny. So one time, this is separate, random, but I went to the mall with my youth group. They have separate, smaller groups, and we went to the mall and just kind of were doing these things where you go up to people, you give them a
Yeah,
mic and stuff. So we went up to a mall security guard, and he was so funny. He was so funny. Like at the end, we were like leaving. He's like, "Y'all got some hood in y'all."
I swear,
And we
like
were
that.
like,
If you heard my
we were like,
playlist, you'd be like, "Who is
we're
this
like,
girl
which
talking about
one? Which
this?"
one? He's like, all y'all got some hood. I'm like,
That's
anyway,
amazing. That's
anyway,
amazing.
finish this sentence. I truly believe that.
I truly believe that life will work out for me exactly how it's supposed to.
Mm, that's great. That's
Definitely.
great. My favorite book is.
Ooh. My favorite book to this day is To Kill a Mockingbird, because
I have
you're
that.
never too small or too young to affect change. That's what that book told me.
I have that book for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
definitely read it. It's an old classic. I was literally
Yeah.
supposed to read it in high school, but To Kill a
Yeah.
Mockingbird, the story, it just always stuck with me because it's
Yeah.
just such a powerful story. It talks about so many different things, and it really shows you that you're never too young to affect change.
Exactly. Exactly. In two words, I would tell my younger self too.
Be patient.
Mm. Woo!
Be patient.
That's a liberating one.
Hmm. Be patient. Be still.
Yeah. And last one, right now I feel.
Blessed.
Mm.
Even if everything around me is uncertain, and trust me, I
Yeah.
got some uncertainty. I got some, what am I doing next? What am I trying to plan out next? But yeah, I'm blessed. Anyway, I got
Love
breath
that.
air in my lungs. I woke up this morning. I got food on my table. My lights came on. That's a blessing.
Some water.
Hmm.
Okay, I love that. And so I want to let people know before we wrap where they can find you. So, Danielle has a small business called Career Toolkits by D.
Ew.
And I want you to drop your socials and let people know where they can find you, how they can keep up with you, and how they can support you.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm gonna tell you all about 3 pages. You guys can follow my personal page,
Hmm.
Danielle Germain underscore. So exactly how it's spelled, underscore. My career business page, which is Career Toolkits by D. That's the at name on Instagram, and
Hmm.
on all
Hmm.
social platforms. Honestly, the best way to support a small business, if you can't tap in financially, that's okay. Share a post. Tag somebody that might need the service.
Right.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Just lift it up. If nothing else, even if you can't, like I said, financially contribute to a small business, lift it up and speak life into it. And I think that's how you build success. And the last page I want to tell you guys about, obviously, is Def Pen. That's where I've been freelancing for the last, oh my gosh, I can't even believe it's been like 8 months. Oh my
Okay.
gosh. But yeah, I've been freelancing with them. So come to Def Pen. It's at Def Pen, or at Def Pen Sports, and that is the page that I actually manage. The sports
Def Pen
page.
as in it's DEF.
Pen.
PEN, I believe.
Def
Okay,
Pen and then Def Pen Sports. And you
got you.
guys should follow both those pages and check out our content and engage with us because, yeah, we here.
For sure, for sure. And just the little sports tidbit. So, like, I'm into sports as well. I used to play tennis in high school. I still consider myself a former athlete, even though it
I'm
was
a
high
former
school.
athlete.
It
You're a
still
former
counts.
athlete. It still
I played
counts.
tennis. What did you play?
Oh my gosh, what did I not play? I started off in the soccer, volleyball,
Okay,
track
okay,
space. I did
okay.
track all of high school.
Yeah,
Wasn't bad at it. Wasn't bad at it. Actually had a little speed.
yeah.
And then I transitioned into dance and gymnastics, and I actually went to college and I was a cheerleader at American for a little while.
I
Yeah,
love that. I love
yeah.
that. We're gonna chat a little bit later after this about, I guess, who your top athletes are and like maybe who you would like to see on the Game Changer series because I am currently looking for guests. And
Mm.
my first thought was like reach out to athlete, which I have people in mind.
You should
But I'm
try to get
curious
some
to know
former,
like
especially some
who you're
former.
interested in.
Yeah, we should try to. We could definitely talk about that.
Hmm.
Definitely some former, especially. I love talking to athletes that are out the game because I like seeing where they're at now. Especially talking to like former NFL players,
Yes.
NBA players, and really any. And also major plug. Women athletes right now are killing the game. Okay,
Hmm.
killing the
Hmm.
game. I expect everybody to be watching the women's basketball college women's basketball series. Support the WNBA.
Hmm.
Support women. Period.
Hmm.
Because we're killing the game in music and sports and every and in almost every industry. Women are killing the game.
Hmm. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Don't forget to be a kind person. You
So
feel me?